swim, they eat, and that's about it for most people. A staple of every pet store, and bought way too often as a cheap starter pet to see if you can be responsible for an actual animal, like a dog or a cat. But what are fish? What do they like? How do they swim? Why are they such jerks? I can't answer all those questions, but I can cover the basics. First, you need water, and something to hold the water. Most people use an aquarium. I have a 50-gallon tank. Sounds like a lot, but it's necessary because of him. Common goldfish start out small, but will grow over a foot in proper conditions. Of course, there are more space-efficient options. Betas only need a minimum of 5 gallons. Cheaper, and definitely easier to clean. Once you've secured an appropriately sized aquarium, the next step is water. Fish need it to swim, and thankfully, it's usually pretty easy to get water. Regular tap water is fine, but if it's chlorinated, you'll need to buy a dechlorinator for your tank. Chlorine is dangerous for fish and will hurt them over time. But we're not done with water yet, because once it's in the tank, it still needs to undergo the nitrogen cycle. This process allows waste in the water to break down into less harmful compounds. Here's a quick chemistry lesson. Yeah, I know. When fish poop, it breaks down into ammonia. Even in low amounts, ammonia is toxic and will cause ammonia burns and death if left untreated for long enough. However, bacteria will eat the ammonia and release nitrite. Nitrite is still dangerous, but fish can tolerate it more than ammonia. A different strain of bacteria eats nitrites and releases nitrates. Still bad, but takes a lot longer to be harmful to fish. Excess nitrates are taken out during water changes, usually on a weekly basis. So, to start the nitrogen cycle in your aquarium, you simply need to put some fish food in there and let it sit for 2 or so weeks. You can check the water parameters with a water test kit. Not technically necessary for owning fish, but highly recommended. Incorrect water parameters are behind most illness and death in fish. With that settled, there are only a few other things we need. Filters help move water around, something very important to keeping the nitrogen cycle alive. Different size filters are needed depending on tank size, and that's as complicated as it has to get. Never wash the filter cartridges, and only replace them if needed. The bacteria from the nitrogen cycle live mostly in the filter, so messing with it too often can crash the cycle, which is bad. Some fish can live in room temperature water, depending on your room's temperature obviously, but tropical fish usually need warmer waters. Betas, for example, are native to tropical countries and need water around 80 degrees, and an adjustable heater is the best option to keep an aquarium warm and at a stable temperature. With all of that out of the way, the only thing left is fish. There are a lot of fish in the sea, and in pet stores. It's important to research what fish you want before buying them. They all have different needs, and a lot of fish can't be kept together, either because they need different setups or because they'll fight each other. I can't cover every fish in the world, but I will definitely talk about my fish. First up is Taco. He's a comet goldfish, and he's a rescue. A friend's brother won him at a carnival, and since nobody wanted to keep him, I took him in. 2 years later, and he's now the length of a $1 bill and very happy in his 55-gallon aquarium. But goldfish get big, and they poop a lot, and sometimes they eat smaller fish. I love him, but would not recommend. With him are 8 Corridor catfish. These guys are bottom feeders who spend their day eating algae and just being chill. However, it's important to keep them with sand because they like to dig through it a lot. It's kinda cute actually. 5 cherry barbs. They're small and they're fast, and I don't see them too often. They're okay. I like them. 3 Platies. There used to be 7, but the others kept bullying Taco, a fish 5 times their size and too dumb to defend himself. So I got rid of them, but the rest are nice and keep to themselves. I like them. And then there's the snails. Many people don't like them, and yeah, I can see why. But the fish, mostly Taco, eat enough of them to control the population, so I never have too many of them. They also help keep the algae under control, very slowly. And that's it. Fish are definitely not a beginner pet and require more work than you'd think. But they're a unique pet, and designing and taking care of an aquarium is satisfying, if you don't mind getting covered in fish poop water. Owning an aquarium can be quite the commitment, but if you're up for the responsibility, I think it's worth it.